So super quickly, who we are, PlusPlus is a hub for knowledge sharing, mostly for large organizations. You might have seen some logos such as Airbnb, Netflix, Shopify, Microsoft, LinkedIn, as well as Kia Motors. And what we do primarily is we focus on live interactions. And so that means that as a platform, we support live learning events, workshops, classes, etc. We also have a module called Tracks, which is about sequential learning. So if you have a longer learning experience that you want to model, such as onboarding, for example, we do that. And then also sessions for more informal one-on-ones and one-to-manys, for example, coaching, mentorship, office hours, that sort of thing. So that's super quickly about us. This presentation is really about Angela. So Angela leads learning and development at Kia Motors America, and she's been. We met about a year ago, so we're privileged and honored to have her tell her story. And so with that, I'm gonna pass the screen, or I'll stop sharing, and I just want to invite Angela to maybe tell us a little bit about how did you get to Kia in the first place, and what is it that you own there as a concern? What's your job role?
Yeah, thanks, Marco. And thanks everyone for joining today. I'm excited to talk about PlusPlus and how we use it at Kia. My name is Angela Davis, and I'm the Learning and Employee Experience Lead. I lead learning, engagement, and culture improvement programs and initiatives for over 500 of our team members, and that includes both at the corporate and regional offices at Kia. I also oversee and manage our company communications, internal branding, and recruiting marketing efforts on several platforms, and more recently getting involved with advancing our company's inclusion and diversity efforts, as well as technology and change management, and really, trying to improve our productivity and ways of working smarter, especially in this remote environment. I've been at Kia for almost 6 years now, and in my role in learning and development for about 2.5 years. And just to tell you, a little bit more about me, after college, I didn't know that I wanted to work in HR. I had some pretty cool marketing internships, and that kind of made up my first, several jobs. And so I have a background in marketing and consulting. Kind of pivoted a little from there, and was thinking about becoming an elementary school teacher, and that's what kind of led me down the learning path. And to Kia, our big corporate headquarters are here in Irvine, California, and I live in Orange County. And so in the role that I'm in now, I feel like I really draw upon many different skill sets that, when I was, say, in my mid-20s, I'm like, what am I, what is my path? What am I doing with all these skills? But now in my role, I'm able to use all of them.
I love how it's kind of like all these different skills came together to kind of prepare you for the role that you have today, and also gives you perspective on learning and development that's slightly different given a path to that role. So
absolutely,
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And I remember, I found your story of how you found about us interesting. So do you mind just sharing that? Like, how did you learn about PlusPlus to begin with, and how did you seek us out?
Yeah, of course. I love this story because PlusPlus is so successful at Kia, and so it's near and dear, with terms of how we found you. But I was in New York for one of my first work conferences, and got the opportunity to watch one of the heads of Airbnb speak about their learning program, and he put up a slide showing their learning ecosystem. And it was a game changer for me because, he showed how all of their systems and programs were connected and able to scale for thousands and thousands of employees, not just here domestically, but globally. And I really had a light bulb moment. On that slide, there was this little logo called PlusPlus, and he actually spent the most of his time talking about it. And I snapped, a photo of that slide on my iPhone. And when I came back to Orange County, looked up PlusPlus right away, and you guys were still in startup mode, and it took me about a year to find you. But I found you, and after we started some initial conversations, I was sharing with other event administrators at Kia, what this platform can do, and how it can help solve several challenges that we have. And to be honest, it was a pretty easy sell. Even my boss understood the technology and how that it could align, or understood the technology, the vision, the potential that this platform had to offer. And then when I had to go and do my project pitches, even to our CEO, I got our yes, and I got it really quickly.
Got it. And you mentioned you had some problems. So it sounds like you had some specific problems that you were dealing with, that you were trying to solve. So what was that? What were the challenges at Kia at the time that you were kind of grappling with?
Yeah, so we had, really two top challenges at the time. One was awareness. We have a learning program. We have, in-person event or instructor-led, events. We have online learning. We have an engagement platform. We have all this cool stuff, right? But when it came time to hosting online and in-person events, they lived in several different areas. They were, posted on our intranet. They were shared out via email. Like they were not in a single centralized location, and people miss things all the time, and what that resulted in was just a low perception ultimately of what we had to offer our employees in terms of career development. How do they build skills, how do they move up within the company, as well as low information sharing among employees. These are scores on our culture survey that have been low for many years. Just in this last year, they have started to kind of move up, but still low. And we're actually doing our annual culture survey right now. And so now that we have had PlusPlus this year, those are going to be scores that I am so interested to see now that we have this platform where everything is visible, and employees can self-service and sign up for what it is that they want. And then I would tell you, so that was that's the top priority, right? But the second problem that we were trying to solve for was the administrative challenges of hosting and administering events. And we host all different kinds of events. I'm talking about, onboarding, new hire orientations, manager trainings, even bringing in like third-party webinars to volunteer events. It's not just learning. It's a variety of different things we do across the organization. And this was extremely burdensome. If anyone on the call today, does this via email and manual tracking and Excel sheets, let alone like if someone wants to change events or cancel, or you have, multiple events happening in one day, 1 week, it's a huge challenge. And, I am a part of a very lean team, and this really became evident to me when we started upgrading our technology platforms to more cloud-based solutions, and we were having to do trainings, at our corporate and regional offices, and do multiple a day, multiple a week. It was just not feasible. And then when we were starting to talk about, oh, well, what's next? What, you know, especially in terms of manager trainings and leadership development, it was like, you know, there is a gap, a very clear gap here, and we need to solve for it. So those were awareness, and then the administrative challenges were the top two we were looking to solve for.
Got it. And I think one thing that's always interesting to other, your peers is, as a team, how are you organized? How big is your team? How many people? Who do you like? What does that structure look like? I hear always companies sort of like interested in comparing those notes, like organizationally. What do you say? What does that look like as a team?
Yeah, sure. It's
Who
an
is
easy.
we?
Who is
Right?
we?
Yeah.
Well, it's an easy answer. You know, I am a one-person team. But with that, you know, I have, when I say we, you know, I work really closely with our whole HR team and our HR business partners and generalists, you know, support. And then now for the first time, which we haven't had before, but I have other event admins that are able to help post events on PlusPlus. You know, our inclusion and diversity specialist, she's posting, you know, all different volunteer events and inclusion and diversity education and awareness sessions and facilitated discussions. And now we have our PR and marketing team on board posting on the platform. So something that was very HR led is now starting to have legs and democratize and spread across the company. So it's kind of a long-winded answer, but you know, the reality is I am a one-person team, and I do have to be very aware of how I spend my time, and need to limit administrative processes as much as possible, or administrative and manual processes as much as possible.
Got it. So no more duct tape and spreadsheets, and you have, sounds like
No.
you have a experience.
That is a big no-no.
I hear you. So what does that look like now? What does the solution look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing in just a minute, so I can just you know, share a lot of the cool things that we're doing. But you know, at a very high level, I could probably, you know, easily count the number of events that we did last year. You know, maybe 15, 20, maybe. Don't really know. I mean, of course I know, but you know, but now, you know, since we've had PlusPlus, we went through the onboarding process in February, and so we were really up and running at the beginning of the second quarter, and we did 30 events right out of the gate in the second quarter, and now here we are in the third quarter, and we're already up over 70. So to be able to say, you know, we've already done over 100 events within like 6 months is just a really big win for us. And it's not, you know, all about quantity. You know, quality is very important to us too, but I think the quality aspect was always something that we were just limited by because of time and resources. And now that we have a platform that's able to scale our efforts, you know, it just, I don't have to say no anymore, you know? And there's a lot of, I'm very grateful for that. So, so yeah, so I can start screen sharing.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. And in the meantime, I'm reading some questions. There was a question: how do you measure success, and how frequently do you measure it? That's one question. And then the other one is about: is this just maybe Kia Motors North America, and what's the relationship to the manufacturing side of the business? And so those were some questions in the chat that I saw.
Yeah, sure. You know, I guess I'll take the latter one first. So Kia Motors America is the sales marketing service subsidiary of Kia Motors Corporation. We're here in the US. That makes up our corporate and regional offices. Over the last 2 years, we just introduced regional headquarters, so Kia Motors North America, and that's also now at our corporate office. But we are separate entities from our manufacturing plant in West Point, Georgia, which is Kia Motors Manufacturing, Georgia. Since our regional headquarters have formed, there's been a lot more collaboration between our Kia companies. But what I would tell you, something that's really interesting, Kia carries a big brand name, but our company is lean, just to kind of give you a point of reference. Some of the other, domestic automotive companies like Toyota, Honda, Mazda, I mean, these are thousands and thousands of people, whereas Kia, we're just at 500. And so, or more than 500, but in the 500s. And so all of, from a learning perspective, all of our managers are working managers. Our organization is relatively flat. We wear many hats. It is more of like a startup entrepreneurial type of vibe, a very, very fast pace. Speed is our #1 score on our culture survey, which always gives me kind of a good laugh. But just wanted to kind of share some, I guess, some context about Kia. And then to answer the second question about how we measure success with PlusPlus, I'm definitely measuring and looking at data, almost on a weekly basis. Especially right now, we have a big learning plan that's related to Office 365 that I'm tracking almost daily because we have so many events going. But primarily I'm tracking the number of events, the number of enrollments, and I'll show you tracks, which is sequential learning. So it's really about kind of bringing all the pieces together in one place. And that's where I'll pull in like LinkedIn Learning courses, and then I'll go to LinkedIn Learning and kind of pull some data there. But those are really kind of the key metrics that I'm tracking right now.
Cool. So Kia is fast. That's what I heard.
Kia is fast. Yes. Let's see. Are you seeing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Thank you for saying that. So this is PlusPlus. We brand it internally as Driven, and so I'm going to do my best to say PlusPlus. But if I get tongue tied and you hear me say Driven, and you're like, "What is she talking about?" That's why. So right here, on our, I'll just kind of give a lay of the land, and then Marco and I will kind of talk through some more strategic things. But here's the homepage. When employees come in, they can see right at a glance, all the different events that we have to offer. We're doing our core values week this week, which is like our company culture week. And so like we have an event with our Kia DC office. And you can see here we've got 140 employees signed up, and it's as easy as clicking enroll, and they get a calendar invite right to their email, and in there is the web conference link. And so that automation right there is just extremely helpful. And if someone changes their mind and they don't want to attend, they can just simply unenroll in the event. Some other really cool things, I don't think I have an example up right now, but say one of my classes, I could only hold about 30 people in a class. Once it hits 30, it will do a waitlist feature, and I can easily go in and add people from the waitlist. And so that has also been super helpful. A couple other things that were really instrumental in help in not just the event administration piece, but just some add-ons that I was like, and you have this too. I mean, you're really solving for all my challenges. Was an automated survey that comes out afterwards. I can also show you if I just go to past events. I can easily just kind of get a pulse on how something went. So right now we're doing team member talks, which are like facilitated discussions around culture and awareness type of event. So if I go into diversity dialogues, for example, I can just see here, people that attended, okay, I had 38 people go. here, here is everyone and their pictures, and I can hover and see their titles. And then some people that were prompted, to give some public feedback, and I can just, 5 stars across the board with some little comments, and I can just get a quick taste of like, okay, this, this went really well. I can go back in later and analyze the survey data. But that is also a really nice feature. And so just to kind of back up a little bit, so employees, when they come to the site, they're able to see everything that's being offered. So right now we have, let's see, oh, I thought it's pulling all events, but I think we have like 25 live events right now that employees can sign up for. If they're looking for something specific, they can filter by category. So you can see we have things on here, anything from career development, leadership, peer learning, onboarding, technology, anything about our products. And then another thing that's really cool, they can hover over to catalogs. So this is great for our new team members that join in, and they're like, what's Kia all about? What kind of, learning classes and programs do you have available for me? I always tell them to go in and check out the catalog. These are things that we offer. At some point through the year, when they have a date and time assigned to them, they'll be over here in events. But this is just kind of a nice, visual to walk through. And lastly, I'll hop on over to tracks. And I knew about tracks when we started, when we started with PlusPlus. I also have, another learning platform that also has a sequential learning, path type of feature. And with how sticky PlusPlus is for Kia, I have actually started moving things over here because this is now where our employees are going. And tracks are sequential learning paths. So I am not only able to add in-person or online events, I can supplement with things like LinkedIn Learning, courses. Let's see, I'll go down here to additional resources, adding in like a third-party site or, online learning resources, stuff like that. So that's a really great feature about tracks. And I know I just talked for quite a while, and I'm going to go into more specifics, but I'm just going to pause for a moment and see, Marco, if you want to direct me or ask any questions.
Yeah, so a couple of things you mentioned. So at the beginning, you said, one of the challenges you had was to basically create awareness, and you mentioned how you wanted to pull before you had this different systems for discovery, right? Like some teams would publish their stuff in spreadsheets, internal wiki, intranet, etc. And so now, presumably now you put everything under one umbrella. How well is that working? So that discovery, awareness, and how do you know it's working? I guess that's how do you measure the success? To riff off of the question that was in the chat earlier. To that point.
Let's see, I'll give you an example. So one of the very first things that we did with PlusPlus was get our onboarding program in here ASAP because with onboarding, I mentioned that we're fast, we're lean, we do recruit a lot externally, and there is an expectation when new hires come on board that it's quick. It's a very quick onboarding process, and a lot of just the administrative things with onboarding. So I'm going to go ahead and click into our new hire, first week. A lot of this, lived in emails. I mean, even just the amount of follow-up emails or who do I contact for what, and we just put it all in one place. So I've had a lot of, before I kind of walk through this, I'll say that I've had a lot of fun really customizing the platform and using what we're saying to help kind of drive the culture, the tone, And so, you know, I've kind of said, you know, hey, like, you know, you got this. The first week is a little intimidating, but here's a helpful checklist of tasks to get you going. And here's all the support contacts that you need. They can easily reference our new hire slides. So this is a big one. Everyone always kind of asks for a copy of slides, and it's a quick click here. You know, super administrative things like you need to update your email signature. I mean, just imagine all these kind of like one-off emails, requests, you know, now that has all just totally stopped, and our talent management team just loves it. You know, how to complete your phone setup, how to download all these different apps, you know, going into our HR system and updating their profile, setting up access and systems, you know, doing the harassment prevention training requirement, and then starting to get them to prompt them to now go into these systems, do things for the first time. This was a really, really big win for us. And then when I go into the new hire 90 days, so, you know, we really didn't have we had a new hire orientation, but after that we were kind of like, you know, good luck. Let us know if you have any questions. And so having a 90-day onboarding program is new to us. We've implemented things like a 90-day new hire check-in as part of our performance management process. We definitely take a deep dive during onboarding to explain, you know, what performance management is, and these are our expectations. And doing it in tracks helps us reinforce it and also give them a place to come back to if they need to kind of freshen up. So even things like, you know, attend a workout class, get started on your goal plan. Here's everything you need to know about the 90-day review. And in your first 90 days, here are recommended trainings. We want you to get to know our intranet. We want you to learn how to self-service and find the information that you're looking for. We have this, you know, being in the automotive industry, we have this great class called Navigating Within a Dealership. We want all new hires coming in to know about our business as well as the business of our dealers. We do performance management workshops. Never did this before. So at the beginning of every year, I host goal setting workshops. I do multiple sessions, and at the end of the year, performance review workshops. So these are all, you know, this is all brand new to us, and have just started it in this last 6 months, which is the pace is something I would say that I'm very proud of us for.
Yeah, you mentioned to me one of the things you said is you were surprised, I guess, how quickly it got adopted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And the way that I've been able to do that, you know, I mentioned that I also manage our company communications and our intranet, and I mean, even things going out, you know, sometimes from our CEO, like video scripts or, you know, communications coming out from him. I'm really involved in that to layer in a lot of our company culture type of initiatives and help get the tone right. But to bring PlusPlus into that and make it a part of our, it's like a daily habit. You know, I have it layered into almost every company communication that goes out, just by sharing links. You know, right now we're in our Microsoft Office 365 implementation, and this link right here, I probably copy it and put it into company communications and on our intranet and within Teams every chance I get.
I just noticed you have what 500 plus people assigned to a single track.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's yeah. I mean, so this is like, I guess, an example of that company-wide initiative that you're helping quarterback essentially by creating it into a track and then making sure that everyone kind of goes through the same experience, right?
Absolutely. I would say that our learning plan for Office 365 is the thing that I am most proud of by far on this platform. Kia America is the first company in Hyundai Motor Group. That's our parent company. We're about 56 companies. We're the very first company to do Microsoft Office 365, and we kind of, I won't say that we have a reputation when we do, technology upgrades and this and that. We're kind of just like, good, again, kind of like, good luck to you, like here's some online learning resources and you can do it. With this, the first time that HR and digital technology have really been able to partner in a very intentional way, and we knew the impact that this would have to our productivity, our ways of working, and then doing this during a time where we are working remotely, with no end in sight at this time. And so, in terms of change management, and just kind of referencing some of our really low scores on the culture survey and what our team members wanted, this platform has the opportunity to solve some of our top technology challenges. And so when we came out with this learning plan, it's a mix of instructor-led classes to really set up our employees for success. And so it is assigned to every single one of our employees. We have a whole communication series going. It's up front and center on our intranet. Our executives are talking about it weekly at their meetings, and and I can just, if it's helpful, I'm happy to just kind of go through it really quickly at a high level if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. And also, just as a reminder, in the meantime, for everyone else, for any questions that you have for Angela, please just type them in the chat. We are going to be going into a Q&A as well. So just organically, let's kind of roll into that. So feel free to think about questions, things that you would like to double click on, ask more. So just type them in the chat. I'm watching that. So, but yeah, please go ahead, Angela.
Okay. One of the things that was really important is to just build a very strong foundational understanding. And so we have 4 courses that we are recommending. And so what's really cool about this on the platform is someone can see, Teams Essentials, for example, and kind of get an overview of what the course is about, and then quickly see the dates and times that are offered. So there are multiple sessions of this happening. OneDrive, the successful meetings in Teams, and then the collaboration. This one's kind of been a big one. What's the difference between Teams and email and chat? And, definitely don't want employees to feel like this is another thing to do. This is a value add, and, we've had to make our case for that. A big part of Office 365 too is having the teams and channels, set up. And so we've got classes for the people that are managing that, as well as some kind of additional resources too, like Power BI and Planner. And then this is something that's really cool too. We're doing office hours, never done anything like this before, where we just hop on every Friday for a half hour, and we can get up to 20 team members that join us just to ask questions, information share, all that kind of good stuff. So these are just, the amount of events we've been able to do, and then just pilot new ideas. I feel like we do this all the time now, and it's great, and it's really helping to drive adoption of what we're doing. And then for those people, that prefer to learn, self-paced learning, or want some additional references, I add in LinkedIn Learning courses in here all the time. It's like my favorite thing to do. And so I would say this is definitely by far the thing that I'm most proud of. And, I would say definitely with our regional team members, people out in the field, that group of employees tends to be the most sensitive when we do system changes, technology upgrades, and stuff like that. And I've already heard from so many of them that they see the potential in this. And it has been honestly a big relief, because we were a little bit worried just because it's such a big change.
Got it. Got it. And thank you for sharing that. Definitely hear a sense of pride in that. So one of the questions that came, JC asked. So you mentioned how you made this into a daily habit. Can you maybe touch on that? How did you do that? How is this getting engagement with your teams, I guess?
Yeah. So, I mean, several different mediums, but you know, Office 360, well, sorry, I keep saying Office 365. I meant to say our intranet. On our intranet, you know, we have a direct link to PlusPlus. We've got big banner images, you know, up front and center, just kind of marketing all the different programs and initiatives that are being, you know, hosted on this platform. We send out a lot of company communications via email, even things like, you know, I'm trying to give you a good example, you know, like we just upgraded to Zoom, you know, and we're like, you know, hosting learning sessions on Zoom. So we're not like, hey, we're launching Zoom and, you know, here's a quick reference guide. It's like, oh, and, you know, here's this webinar and here's these LinkedIn learning courses, go to this track. Like we are integrating it into everything. And then now that we have Teams, you know, with Office 365, I do weekly updates about all training and events that are happening across the company. We've got different automated communication series out there for you know, different programs. And so it's really leveraging every single medium we have to communicate with employees. And I will also tell you, we have an engagement platform, and we call them behavior bonuses. So employees can earn points for doing certain behaviors, and we use this tool all the time to drive adoption of systems, health, wellness, all different kinds of things. But I have several things in there related to PlusPlus, you know, just as another incentive to drive people to come here.
Got it. And thank you. So I'm reading some questions. So Megan and Claire asked similar questions, sort of like around tracks. One is how easy is it to build a track and like add all these images and stuff like that? And then would you do you use tracks just for instructor-led training, or would you use it also when it's mostly you know, self-paced learning? So in other words, do you bias toward like blended learning or self-paced learning, I guess?
Yeah, so one of my favorite things, well, first, to create an event, it's so easy. It's, I mean, honestly, it can take you like 5 to 10 minutes to create an event, and then you can just assign as many dates and times as you want to it. And anyone can do it. I think that was also something that was really important to me, you know, because I knew very early on that I could not be the only one doing this. And so I mentioned, you know, I have someone from our inclusion and diversity team and our marketing and PR team, and they also help to create events. And so, you know, I guess the best way I could relate it is if you've ever seen like Eventbrite or creating an event on Facebook, you know, it's like very basic fields that you have to fill out. That was a huge part of why I liked PlusPlus so much. And so to create a track, or I guess it's probably easier maybe if I just, let me go back. Or maybe I don't do that live. But here, let me go. If I were to click in, I'll go to internal interviews as an example. And if I were to edit this, it's, I mean, it's, so if I wanted to just add to this track, you know, it's as simple as just, you know, adding here. I can drag an event right in, and I can save it. And it's just, it is really administratively friendly. And you can add in documents, you can easily add in links. I kind of got off track with that answer a little bit, but
That's cool.
basically it is it is very easy to create a track. And I don't just create tracks for instructor-led learning. I'll give you a really good example. So we just launched, we're doing a lot more efforts in our inclusion and diversity area of the company. And this is really supplementing some of the in-person sessions that we're doing, as well as many other efforts, but this is solely focused on just online learning. And so anytime we communicate out about diversity and inclusion, we always kind of do a quick plug. Like, if you're looking to learn more, click here, and we've got all different kinds of courses. So this is an example of really just a collection of online courses like D&I basics. Here's the top 3 classes we recommend. You want to learn more about bias, these right here. And so you can use it however you want. You can do blended, or you can just do solely online.
Got it. And thanks for showing that. So there were 2 questions I sort of found similar. One is like, and you addressed this to a certain extent. How did you get a buy-in from the leadership to do this, and then how did you roll it out, right? So, and I think you mentioned this at the beginning a little bit as well, right?
Yeah. So to get buy-in, first and foremost, I had to show this platform to other event administrators, and they all shared the same challenges as I did. So when I showed it to them, did a little demo, I did it very casually, kind of in passing, and then I'm like, okay, I think I have something here. And then I brought on the PlusPlus team to lead, a more formal demo for the event admins and managers at Kia, and everyone kind of gave the stamp of approval, like, yes, this looks good. Early on involved IT. They understood the technology challenges and the opportunity for productivity and automating a lot of these processes. But I would also tell you that my boss was really supportive at an early stage. And so after we did these more formal kind of demos, we had to do a one-on-one with our CEO, and he was supportive as well. We very clearly defined what the problem was, the gap, and how we were going to solve for it. I think if we came to him and just said something like, oh, there's this great new platform and it's gonna, we're very sensitive about adding new platforms because employees, we want to keep it as simple and streamlined as possible. But the challenges we were trying to solve for were so clear. And I also would tell you that I did my due diligence on researching other companies. Sorry, but but to be expected, right? I looked at several other event management systems and found that most of them were geared towards external, large, thousands and thousands of people type of events, not internal, I need to host a performance management workshop, or I need something to host my management summit, or a volunteer event, and I don't want it to be just learning, I want it to be all of these things. Another thing that was a really big turnoff when looking at other companies was the tiered platform and all the a la carte pricing. And I was like, no, I want it all in one. I want it for all my employees, and don't make this so complicated. Like it was, I didn't feel that there was much competition out there in this space, and I felt that's also what made PlusPlus so unique. And then when they said things like, oh, and we've got automated survey built in, and we have waitlist feature, and we have tracks, and not to mention that you can add on mentoring and coaching and automate those you know, those kind of exchanges. I mean, think about trying to introduce a mentorship program. How do you pair people? You know, like we're already starting to go down the path of looking at a mentorship program, listing mentors, again, like democratizing that idea. And someone could say, I'm a mentor, you know, I have this background, I'm very skilled in these areas, and I'm available Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, and you can book time with me. I mean, that, you know, to be able to set that framework up, but then let the people in the company, you know, run it essentially. I mean, it just makes it all seem possible, and in a very you know, short period of time too. It's not like that's years out. That's like, that's next year. So so yeah.
And I have I'm sort of like also reading. I think it seems like we're sort of running out of questions. I have one question that resonated with me when I was chatting with you, and it was about peer learning. I asked you what are you proud of, and one of the things you said, well, you enabled this democratized learning where everyone can learn from everyone else. Can you tell us a little bit more how that works? I know you have an interesting way of like certifying the presenters, and then
Yeah.
kind of the whole process, how that works, how you created that essentially.
So the peer learning is also very new to us at Kia. And just some very quick examples of that are, you know, up here on our homepage right now. You know, we have, I guess that's kind of a secret, but we have a new product coming out, and we're going to have our product planners tell us about the new vehicle coming out, and do a Q&A and information share. You know, we've got our Kia DC event where the office, you know, that's an example of peer learning, and they're going to update us on what they're doing. You know, we've got a manager that's hosting mindfulness meditation classes every Thursday. And so, you know, peer learning, I would say it hasn't like taken off, but it's starting, right? And that's what's so exciting. And what we do, you know, we don't like, there are definitely like you know, quantity isn't, you know, there. I'm more concerned about quality, and setting our team members up for success, and giving them the platform where they can be subject matter experts, and share what they're passionate about and what they do with others. And just kind of a good check and balance that we have. I built a track called Peer Learning Leader, and you can think of it as like a little certification. And so this is kind of a branded program, but for anyone that wants to lead a peer learning session, you know, I direct them here. We'll have a little 30-minute, you know, talk too, but, you know, they have a training guide that kind of walks through, you know, what is peer learning? How do you structure your session? Best practices, and they can just, you know, download it and have it for themselves. You know, this is also a program. We want to promote that we are doing peer learning at Kia, and for people to recognize it, and also for others to see it too and be like, oh, I could do that. And so, you know, we have a branded peer learning program template, so people can build their presentations on it. You know, for everyone going through this to take a public speaking foundations class, everyone always appreciates this recommendation, because it is, you know, intimidating to get up in front of your coworkers and do that. And so this is just really simple. You know, if someone wants to do this, I'm not saying like you need to spend 5-10 hours, you know, to do it. This is just an hour of time to prep you and have you be successful. And then to complement this, anyone that teaches a peer learning class in our engagement platform, they can redeem a behavior bonus for $20. And so that's just another kind of incentive that we give our employees to want to information share and be a part of this, you know, movement. You know, I feel like we are experiencing a culture change at Kia over the last 2 years, and this platform has really helped to be an integral part of that, as well as accelerate our efforts.
Yeah, and I remember that's what resonated with me when I talked to you about you know, what has happened since you launched, and you said it made an impact on your culture. And also you open at the beginning of this conversation with the culture survey that's coming. Like you've seen it started inch up, and you're expecting big movement at the next culture survey. So that's super exciting to talk about. So I'm also just being aware of time. So with that, I just wanted to thank you, Angela, for sharing what is that you do, and more importantly, how you do it, and how you're thinking about it, and how you approached the problem, did the diligence and ways to go forward. Not only pick the platform, but also created these things behind that, right? Like a platform is just a small part of the equation. There's also like methodology around getting people communicating the change, rolling out big company initiatives like Office 365, implementing programs like peer learning, actually being mindful around the approach, the methodology, the communications, building sort of advocacy around all that. So I found that super inspiring. So thank you for that. So yeah, so that was Angela from Kia Motors America, leading L&D there. So super awesome.